We are back.
All right, we are
Who
back.
rolled our heads? Never talk about head rolling on camera because Zoom will do the honors. Zoom unceremoniously chopped off our heads, but we are pretty good at stitching our heads back on again. So we've done that. And we are back now
Yes.
with some music. And Roger will introduce the music that's playing in the background. Over to you, Roger.
Okay, that's Path of Exile.
Path of Exile. So tell us about that.
That's
Tell us what led to Path of Exile. That sounds
Path
like
of Exile.
alienation. That's all.
I was about to go there.
Yes, that's why
Actually,
I
you
chose
see,
this album.
because the starting piece is called Path of Exile, which is more like Vijay and Aparajita going, running away from the house and
Exactly, exactly.
with their guitar.
Hmm.
And the last piece is called Realitized Fiction when they when they turn their imaginations into their versions of reality through whatever they perceive when they are in their exile. That's what they do, and in between is the entire album.
So don't you think that this album also is an appropriate soundtrack for whatever we are doing? This particular aspect of our talk show?
I mean,
I mean, don't
I
be
generally
modest. Don't be modest. Who composed this tune?
which one?
The
Path of
one,
Exile.
yes,
Path of Exile. It's composed by Scorcher.
Scorcher composed it.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it's his composition.
For our audience, please look up this album, Realitized Fiction by Unofficial Utopia. It's on YouTube and it's on various other platforms. I will give you the link in the description here so you don't miss out on it. Just don't miss out on it. It's too good to miss out on. So, anyway, back to Roger. Roger doesn't know how to boast about his creative offerings, but so I'm going to boast for him. That's it. That's it. I swear by that album. I swear by that band. And that's it. Okay, back to topic. Our heads are
Absolutely.
back in place.
Yes. Uh, so throughout this discussion, we had a lot of fun, but then again, we came to an understanding that you know, alienation is a thing that that has a tendency to remain constant throughout your journey, and that begins probably in your early teens, and when you start when you stop, when you begin to stop communicating, when you begin to stop sharing and keep everything to yourself. I believe in something that is, uh, people people have a misconception about, people. They would tell you to be strong, they would tell you to be, prepared for the fight that you're about to fight in your future years. But then again, people confuse being strong with stopping to communicate. That's what people do. They think sharing your or being vulnerable in front of someone is basically a sign of weakness, which I think is not. Because if we are not sharing, if we are not communicating with each other, then this alienation has nowhere else to go. This is there to stay. This is where the alienation is taking its first step. You know that's where the alienation is being born. So that's what I think about whatever we are discussing for so long. What do you think?
Yes. And I think it goes down to a very deep place to alienation from the self.
Yes, yes, it does. It does.
If you're
Uh,
connected with yourself, you can still make it through, regardless of who else you're connected with or not. The ultimate, this depression, so-called depression that they talk about, one of the
Hmm.
main, I say so-called depression because everything is now, quote unquote, turned into a label, and then a label that is used by all sorts of vested interests to sell a narrative. So I don't want to use that label, but it's one of the symptoms of that so-called, even alienation used to be a label, I remember back in the 70s. People have forgotten the word now. So I'll bring you back to it. Alien started meaning something else in the tech savvy 80s. You know, those aliens, monsters and
Yes.
aliens, science fiction
Yeah.
aliens, those kind of aliens.
I'm
But
a
real
I'm
aliens
a
are
sci-fi
here.
geek.
Real aliens are here within us. We are alienated from ourselves.
Yes, we are.
And that ultimate disconnection with the self, which people are very quick to label as okay, you have split personality, you're two people, you have multiple personality, and uh, the moment you see, this is exactly why I do the word-wise workshops, because the word becomes, you start becoming answerable to the word and not the word to you. So after that, the word defines everything you do. You script your life according to that word, and narratives are written
Exactly.
with those words, and those words are used to write specific narratives.
Exactly.
And you can reclaim those words, you can discard those words, and you can use new words in their place, string them together, and be creative, healing through creative resources.
Definitely.
There's
So
no
you
end
think
to
that
words. So many languages, so many words, go for it. So many
exactly.
nuances, so many nuances. Choose your language, even mix your languages. Vital. Don't lose track of the word. And the word doesn't
Exactly.
have to be scripted. The word can be spoken, read, thought. Your thoughts actually are forming words inside you. In the
So
beginning, there
so
was the
you
word.
think that it is so you think this is possible for a person to break from these predefined narratives? I mean, I'm not saying that all the narratives are bad or all the narratives are negative, but then again, it's possible for a person to break out of these predefined narratives and rearrange the words and create a narrative of their own. It's possible, right?
Very, very possible. But because you're programmed, you're indoctrinated so heavily to follow the narrative.
Exactly.
And
That's what
because
you're
of this
hardwired to do.
indoctrination, whichever is the current narrative, whichever is the loudest narrative, the one that the powers that be enforce, becomes your narrative.
Yes. Yes.
You don't get to understand what is out of bounds, which means you don't get to define your own boundaries. And by define, I don't mean define, which again brings us to porous borders, elastic boundaries. These are all concepts
Exactly.
which I'm doing my best to get people to explore. And I would urge all of you to come forward and make use of these opportunities you're getting to do it. Because I've spent a lifetime doing it. I have taken the long, hard pathway to whatever I've discovered, and I don't want it to go unshared.
Exactly. I really
I
wish
would
that,
seriously want it to inspire you to free up all those locks and blocks which are inside you, which you are not even aware of.
exactly. I mean, that's what I would like to tell the audience, tell the
Louder,
viewers
Roger.
that
Louder, don't mumble,
uh
Roger. Don't mumble.
is it better?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Okay.
Remember, you're on this on stage. This is an unofficial Utopia gig. And give me a minute. I
uh,
have to check the water. Give me a minute. Give me a
absolutely. Absolutely. Yes,
Yes, I'm here.
we are back again.
Hmm.
Yes. Yeah, I really urge our viewers, our audience that I'm pretty sure that a lot of us out there, you do need somebody to communicate with, somebody to talk to, and if you ask me, probably I've met the best person to talk to, and she's right here with me on the chat show. And no, I'm being very honest here. I mean, even I have shared a lot of things with you, and uh, that's something. And believe me, people, um, communication is the key, probably. I mean, that is the only way probably we can break out of our alienation. Communicating with another person, that's not the only thing. I mean, if you could communicate with yourself as well. You could communicate with like chakras, the script. You could communicate with your guitar. I don't recommend running away from the house though, but then again,
And I don't recommend communicating with your phone.
no,
Your
you could
phone,
communicate with your phone if you're searching for good information, if you're
but you
gathering up
really
good
do. You
knowledge.
really do. There is something in the nature of internet. When you get onto the internet,
Hmm.
you have to actually set your boundaries there and get your guard up. And we tend to set
Yes.
the wrong boundaries. We tend to
Yes.
fall into the wrong traps.
That's
Because let me
that's
tell
again our
you,
fault.
let me tell
Hmm.
you, I am on internet 14 to 15 hours a day.
Hmm.
Please tell me where I go. Please ask me if I fall into those traps. I don't. I know those traps
Exactly.
are there. Those traps are always coming before me, like Satan keeps coming to tempt, and it's okay. I just push them aside. Get thee behind me. That's it. It is that simple. It is that simple.
Exactly.
No, we get
Self-awareness.
drawn in. We get drawn in. You see two friends having an argument. Even today, I sometimes take the bait because it's so easy to put in your 2 cents. You don't hesitate to put in your 2 cents, but then hold back. That energy, you're wasting that energy. If you have that energy, you know what I do these days? When I have a gripe with two people who are, say, arguing or creating a ruckus somewhere on some, either on some common space or their own walls, which, very publicly washing dirty linen, what I do is I
Hmm.
immediately journal my thoughts instead of venting them to those people. And I bank them with all my thoughts, which then I pick on and then I use. And I think this is how I used to be in school and college. I would think my thoughts without actually venting them out among those people. So much so I even forgot how to speak up, which I'm learning now. And I'm learning to find the balance between when to open your mouth and when to just as I say, to put that thought away for future use, for better use somewhere. So you see, you
Exactly.
respond without, you're not reacting there. How do you? The first thing is that you feel the reaction. What do you do when you feel the reaction? Don't express that reaction. How do you respond to that? That is up to you. I now respond by sending it to my journal.
Exactly.
I keep that reaction there. I sit with it. I try to look more deeply into where their reactions came from. It's it takes a lot of people talk a lot about mindfulness. These have become buzzwords, but I think this is more about. I think mindfulness is really more about this.
So what I can take out of this is basically what you're suggesting is sometimes, uh, you know, this is a topic that we talked about in one of our chat shows earlier,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna repeat it. That is, sometimes breaking and shattering down is important in order to learn how to rearrange.
Hmm.
So this alienation is important in a way that, uh, where you can learn that when to vent out your thoughts and when not to.
Okay,
When
I
you
will
know,
come to something here. A thought which just
okay.
crossed my mind. If you have something to complete it. I'll hold this thought. Meanwhile,
No, no. I'm eager to hear your thought.
see, it's what you call shattering and breaking.
Hmm.
I would rather take this to the word control is bad, but there is
Very
something
bad.
called controlled demolition, where you demolish something, but
Hmm.
you demolish it in a planned manner so that the demolition doesn't hurt or cause damage. It's
Yes,
in fact a very violent process.
it is.
And one doesn't have to take that route. One can take altogether a different route to take apart. And very often we don't have to take apart anything, because life takes it apart for you. What's important is not to lose what has been taken apart.
Exactly.
I keep coming to this kaleidoscope metaphor very often in my writing. It's all broken pieces, but you keep shifting them
Exactly,
into
yes.
different patterns. You
Absolutely.
shouldn't be losing those pieces, and that's basically what I come to. When there are lost pieces, then there will be pieces you find from somewhere to fill in for those lost pieces, and maybe that's your Japanese concept of filling the cracks with gold. That kintsugi concept.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
So if you've lost a piece, then you bring a value added piece from somewhere to fill in for it.
Yes.
So there are different
Basically,
ways of approaching this brokenness. This brokenness doesn't have to be brutal. And I feel that, the universe can be brutal enough under pressure. Pressure builds up. Pressure builds up under the earth's crust. Various pressures build up. We have just a minute, just a minute.
yes, yes,
One
yes,
second.
yes.
I'm just rushing out of the room.
Okay, okay.
Sorry for that unceremonious exit. There are circumstances beyond our control. That anyway, I just spoke about forces under the earth's crust. Well, here we have a force of nature descending on one's head like the descent of the Ganga. So we have the holy Ganges coming out of my overflowing tank. I just had to run and shut it off. We have water wars in this building which are man-made. Some people
Okay.
want to grab all the water for themselves. So the rest of us keep a sharp lookout, to also grab our bits. And all this in a city where water flows down the drains. There's so much water.
You
You
see
go out in
again.
some places, you find a tap,
Yeah.
a tap which is just a pipe, which is completely uncontrolled and just spewing
Mm-hmm.
water out onto the street. And everybody is enjoying that lovely filtered water for car wash, and what they don't enjoy just goes down the drain. And then there are people crying for water.
You see, even in this
Iniquities,
scenario,
iniquities. It's a kind
even in
of a kind of
even
a
in this scenario, the concept of beg, borrow, and steal wins
yes,
over
yes, yes,
sharing.
yes, yes. And also the concept of, okay, why should they be the only ones having the water? So let's have the water. So let's waste the water. That's also not the right approach, right?
So this power struggle is hardwired into the entire human race, you're saying.
It is. It is. It is. It is. It is hardwired.
So it's not just something that is, made up couple of decades ago. It's been there since generations now.
But hardwiring has its own lifespan.
Yes.
Hardware breaks down. So I think it's if there's one thing that has to break now, it's this hardwiring.
Exactly.
But where were we?
Exactly.
What were we actually talking about?
We were talking about how the breaking of certain um
Patterns.
predefined patterns, how they couldn't be so violent, and how we could, um, rather take it through a process and not be so violent about it, not
Mhm. This is
shatter it
exactly
down
this is
totally.
exactly why folks like myself are needed. We come in to facilitate this process, in a less violent manner, as
Exactly.
in a less damaging manner. There should not be any lasting damage. Okay, you get churned up, you get tossed about, but then you should be tossed about and churned up only to a degree that you can actually handle. And there should be somebody with you who is alert to what you can actually handle and what you can't. I'll give you an example. If I feel that if I feel that you're in a situation where I am out of my depth at this point, I wouldn't claim to be able to guide you in that situation. That's a question of integrity. I should not be grabbing
Exactly.
you saying I can help you just so that I can make some money off you. And
Exactly.
then say, well, sorry, bad luck, buddy, it's God's will. As a lot of people, lot of very eminent persons are fond of saying,
But on the
when the
contrary,
monitor
God gave us
stops,
free
when
will,
that
no?
monitor beep finishes, and it's over, then God comes in. Till that time, you're God. You're playing God.
On the
So
contrary, God gave us free will, no?
God gave us free will, yes.
But then again, it's God's will.
Again, it's God's will. God is channeling free will through you. Oh my God, we get too philosophic for our audience. we should
Okay,
really
never
we should really
mind.
be very down to earth about this now. We were on
Absolutely.
alienation and
Alienation,
hmm,
yes. And yeah, the different aspects of alienation. Probably we are gonna cover another aspect of alienation as well, but
hmm,
that is not for this chat show. That
hmm,
is the third part,
hmm,
uh, where alienation, as uh, in your let's say late 30s or 40s, and then towards the towards the later part of your life,
hmm,
when you have lived
hmm,
long enough
hmm,
in a specific system.
hmm,
That's when, sometimes this alienation becomes a habit.
hmm.
And that's very bad, I think, because habits are really tough to get out of.
Yes, yes.
And after that discussion, I guess, comes Project Hearthfire,
Oh yes.
which I
uh,
really
that
want to
that
discuss about.
discussion which you're talking about is part 3, where we shift to the present.
Yes, we shift to the present
And
scenario.
we have yet another story of a very of an adult alien. No more,
Yes,
they're how adult aliens create young aliens in turn. So you see, at all these stages, we haven't in the first chapter we are very naive about the parents, the teachers, what they are going through. It's black and white, good and bad. The
yes,
second part, which is 2006, and the story of the phone, where the phone is the hero and you have the stairway to heaven. That part of it is like it starts exploring what goes on in that dynamic between the adult and the juvenile, the adolescent.
exactly,
And it also starts looking at the adult perspective,
exactly,
but to an extent the adult is somewhere the young person is getting the edge, the young person is winning. Not entirely, because the parents get a chance to redeem themselves.
definitely they do.
The teachers,
Definitely they do.
you see the perspectives of teachers at different stages of their lives from different cultures. You also see the corruption in the system. You see the temptations that lead to that corruption. I mean, let's look at a simple case of corruption. You get into an ugly fight with somebody on the internet because you feel safe. You would never have that row with that person face to face. For one thing, the
Exactly.
decibels would be very high. But when I read text which is so aggressive, I can actually feel the decibels. Is that the song Deny going on in the background?
No, there's nothing going on in the background.
You can't hear the background. Well, let me put up the volume a bit.
Okay, yeah.
This is Deny, right?
Yes. Again, a beautiful song composed by Scorcher. It's
Does it have
totally
something to do with alienation?
uh
Denial
probably
and
we
alienation are related, right?
very much, and probably we both know Scorcher from a very close aspect. And yeah, he wrote the song, he composed it.
Yes,
So we know his version of Alienation, and
yes. But
that's
we will not, that is not for this discussion.
yes,
If
that is
you
not for
want,
this
we,
discussion.
we must
That
never
is
talk about somebody who is not in the room.
absolutely. So
And
yeah,
that's one
he
thing I
composed a
believe
song,
very
and which is
strongly in.
really
So this
beautiful.
Roger and Chakra show is strictly about Roger and Chakra, even though we may have a Scorcher's song as the background music, because we are really inspired by everything this band produces.
Absolutely.
Well, the band is sitting, is one half of this discussion. So anyway, because nobody will sue me for copyright. I mean, you never know. YouTube might come for me even now. But if YouTube comes for me, then I can say, Roger, talk to YouTube. I can tell YouTube, oh well, the person behind this album is sitting in this chat show with me. So now, what is your gripe? So anyway,
Definitely.
so I had the audacity to play realitized fiction here, because we are really, what is it? I mean, I think what all these stories are doing is fictionalized reality. The stories we are writing are
Yes.
fictionalized reality, and here we are talking about
Yes.
realitized fiction, which is us coming
Realitized
full
fiction.
circle when we make
Yes.
when we are actually creating our lives, creating the future.
Yes.
So realitized fiction is just that. Unofficial utopia is just that. Make it official. Immediately there are boundaries, there are controls, there's a structure. God help you. So let it always be unofficial.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
isn't it? And it gives you a lot of flexibility, to be
It does. It
to
does.
have your own ideas and to be your best creative self.
Absolutely. It
So
does.
perhaps I have a feeling that if Stairway was the soundtrack, or
Hmm.
the Alien had original music. There was no borrowed music in that.
Okay.
And
You wrote the
this,
songs?
I did write the songs.
My
But the
goodness.
best
Now
part of
I'm
it
even
is
more
I did write
interested.
the songs. I did write the songs. I'm sure they were very simple and very naive. But the fact is, I wrote them.
Exactly. I mean, I wish you could
And
remember the
I'm
songs.
sure I would laugh if I read the songs.
Oh, come on. I mean,
But I know one song that I will. I mean, I know I'm never. I mean, the Alien is one of those unproducible plays, so I might as well give it away. But the song I remember is starts with "Every man needs a god."
that is so true. That is so true. I mean, I'm
And
not talking about,
louder, Roger,
you know,
louder, Roger, louder, Roger.
yeah, I mean, I'm not talking about the ideal that you pray or the deity that you pray to,
No,
but
no, no.
every man needs a god, as in, you know,
Hmm.
you need something to look up to.
I
You
forget
always need
the
some.
second line, but the third line is every boy needs another boy, all his troubles to share.
Okay,
So the line two must have rhymed with that one. And we were heavily
right.
into rhyming when we were kids because we were told poems have to rhyme.
Yeah,
Then we go later
definitely.
into class 9, 10, and 11 and told, no, you can just keep talking rubbish and that's poetry.
That's poetry.
And by the time, I mean, some of the so-called poetry I read is just, I have no idea what it is. But somebody writes it, somebody says wah wah wah, somebody else publishes it, and gung ho. We have another poet launched, and we have endless poetry readings. I have a blog post on this, on the endless book readings and poetry readings, and how our book reading was different.
Attach the link of that blog
I will attach the link of that blog.
with
I
this
have to dig
video.
it out because
Yes.
I have written so much since 2014.
Yes.
When I
Yes.
decided to do the deep dive and say I will write every day, I really took it seriously. Today, I'm not able to handle this and write every day. And because I do a lot of writing, I do a lot of brainstorming for this work. So there is a lot of reading and a lot of writing involved. And at the end of all that, I say, well, I have to exchange one thing for another. I can't talk and write. So better I talk, because actually you can just shove those things in your ears and hear me talk. There's really nothing to see here. I mean, if you like seeing, it's okay, but even if you can't see, you can hear while you're doing your other work,
Exactly.
and that's the advantage. You can't do that with reading.
Yeah. Right.
So I said, fine, we'll do it this way. And I shouldn't look so nice that you feel compelled, impelled to sit and keep staring at me. So both of us are just looking our early morning selves, barring a little
Definitely.
little makeup on one side and no makeup on the other. And
I don't
today
know
I
how to
am
put on a
actually in
makeup.
beachwear because my restless spirit is crying to go to the seaside. I
Mm,
will
yeah.
not heal till I get my whole body into the sea, and feel that over me. I am an aquatic creature. We all are aquatic creatures. We
We
all
all are
started in
basically,
that
yeah.
primordial broth. So,
Yes. Life
and we all
itself,
enter this life via that,
began.
floating in that amniotic fluid for 9 months.
Exactly. We are,
So let's not
again, this
forget
is
that.
in our genes.
Yes.
that
But where
it's
were
in our
we?
genetic memory.
Where were we? We are getting lost all the time. And Zoom is yelling at us again. I mean, even before we enter the room, we are being thrown out of the room. Guys,
Seems
Zoom wants money. If I am to pay Zoom money for better facilities, y'all had better pay me money. Now I am going to sound really, I mean, I'm coming full on with this saying, please, please, please support this channel, support spirit
yes,
spiral
please
healing in
do.
any way you can. And support means material support, because the spiral spins on its stomach, let's face it.
It's true. I
Otherwise
mean,
it'll just be an ornamental spiral, like those shells belonging to long dead aquatic creatures, which you keep in your shelf, and sometimes you carve and sometimes you paint and you mutilate in all possible ways for the sake of creating art. I will become one more artwork like this.
no.
And
I would rather.
Roger will be forced to take a corporate job, full-time corporate job, wear a suit, go to work, and generally, I don't know. I have nothing more to say. Roger, please don't boil in that cauldron. Let's do this. Let's make this work.
Absolutely. I mean, there are people who
Now,
do
I
need
can tell
help.
you something. Let us end this one ceremoniously, and maybe we will come back for number 4, and then we will go once and for all and have our breakfast.
Absolutely.
Shall we? So
Absolutely.
we
So,
will end this and come back to the fourth and last round.
absolutely. Absolutely. We are going to come back to the last round of it. So,
And
um,
take leave of everybody. So here I'm stopping this now. Okay.
absolutely. Chalo.
Bye bye.
Adios.